Well, hey, yo, everyone, and welcome. I'm your friend Art of Mana, and it has been it's been a few weeks here. So, welcome to this Mana State of the Mana. That's what it's called. I am just going to rattle this off one take and just be real and authentic with all of you. I'm in a really good mood. I just got a tweet here just a few moments ago, actually, from my dear friend and fellow friend of Mana, Dash Magnum, and I'll read it to you in a moment. But it meant a lot to me because I reached out just the other day feeling really, honestly, and truly terrible about the fact that my content hasn't been coming out and so many people support me, whether it is financially, and really I'll say that has been weighing on me because I know that it's a sacrifice to give to me. And even though so many of you were quick to point out that your support is not transactional, at the end of the day, I don't want to just ghost you when you are giving me your treasure to, in theory, do something good with it. And while I certainly would not say I have just been squandering things and doing nothing, I've been very busy. I'll get to that in a moment. I certainly haven't been interacting with you, and that's been weighing on me. But Dash Magnum, our dear friend, says, "My dude, you are going through a huge life change right now, moving to a new home, new city, and settling in a new job, all while juggling your family responsibilities. I can't speak for everyone, but you never need to apologize to me for having a lot going on right now. If anything, I want to help support you now more than ever. So if it helps, think of it less as us giving you money for nothing, and more of us investing in helping you get to the place where you can get back to your normal schedule. We're here for you, dude." And Dash, thank you so much. And so many of you, so many of you amazing friends of Hannah, reached out and responded to my tweets, and you just shared, oh gosh, affirmation that I really needed. So let me kind of catch you up on things. Now, it's been a few weeks, it's been a while. What has been going on? Well, first of all, you know, back however many months ago now, we moved, my family and I, Ms. Mana, Mana Sprout, and I, we all moved, and we've been staying with my in laws at their house. Thankfully, there's an upstairs, and there's room for us, space for us, and all of that good stuff. However, pretty early on, we knew we were looking for a home, and we found one. It was phenomenal, and it ticked all the boxes. We were excited right off the bat. We figured this is it. This is what we want to buy, and we put an offer on. Now, I'm going to regale you with the entire story because some of you haven't caught it from the beginning. The first issue we encountered is that another offer, a competing offer, which we were unaware of, we thought that we were the only offer at the time of our offer, a competing offer was accepted, but it was countered. Now, this is the way it works. If you've never bought a home, let me try and explain. The way that this works, and I'm learning more and more of this, is that there's a series of documents that are created, and they're almost more like offers or ideas that both parties have to agree to. So the first thing is this counter offer to the offer of, hey, we want to buy your home. Now, that initial countered offer, the buyers, potential buyers, not us, declined. I hope you're with me so far. Okay. They did not like that the sellers were they were unwilling to put a hard end date in place. Okay, but we looked at it and we said, well, hey, we're not in a hurry. We have our in-laws or my wife's parents to stay with. We're good. So we put an offer in, and we did not have any hard and fast closing date. We liked the house enough, and we figured, hey, in good faith, we assume that they are looking for a home. That's what we were under the impression of, and that's what they told us. So they later we found out that this is what actually had happened. The sellers had put their house on the market only after finding another house just out of the blue that they loved and was, by their description, their dream house. When they put an offer on that house, they had to have a contingency of them selling their home, or else they could not afford that house, and the sellers of that house would not accept the offer. So they put their house on the market, And then that offer fell through. They were not going to get the dream house that they wanted. And unfortunately, they had received all these offers on their home. Now, at this point in time, if you were thinking, well, shoot, we didn't get the home that we were thinking of getting. We're fine in this home. This is what we were planning on being in. But then we saw this house and on a whim we bid on it. You would think someone would say, we're not going to accept an offer. Now, that to me seems like the logical thing. However, instead of that, they had accepted this other offer and then ours because we were more willing to wait. This gave them time, we later realized, to be looking for a home, just knowing that they would be able to sell their home at any time. A pretty sweet deal for them. We gave them plenty of time. We figured this was okay. And then they approached us and said, we found a house and we are so excited about it. And we put an offer on, and with signed documents in hand, they gave us a written statement that all contingencies were removed. Removed? So I don't know where that came from. We're removed. Now, here's the thing. The original contingency was not great. The original contingency basically allowed either party to walk out with very little repercussions. For those of you who are lawyers out there, you probably are thinking, oh my gosh, Manna, bad move. Yes, don't do that. Bad idea. So we had that contingency, though it was at this time removed by the sellers initially, and then we signed the documents. And closing was yesterday. Now, to this day, that is still the most current document. By all legal rights, we could have gone to their door yesterday and said, hey, why aren't you out of our home? But we're nice people. And maybe also it's a small town. We didn't want to, bring a lawyer into all this stuff. We're trying to be charitable. It's complicated. It's tough. It's difficult. I drive by the home every day and I think, I just want to be in there. We had, okay, so I'm getting ahead of myself. We had we had gotten this sign and we figured, yes, yesterday, boom, great. This is awesome. So we then proceed to go forward and we get the inspection done. This is an important part of home buying. You get an inspection so that you know what the house, what issues the house has and what you need to deal with. And then you reply with a repair addendum to the sellers. They then will respond in what they are willing to do to the house to prepare it for your taking over. A lot of times this is totally required by the organization that is providing the loan to the buyers, okay? So we had the inspection done. We had held off until the point where we knew we were actually going to get this house. We signed off on it. During that inspection, I was actually there, present in the house, and one of the homeowners, the husband, came by and said, we exchanged some pleasantries, and we talked about how it's kind of weird that in the world of home buying and selling, you don't get to meet one another, the buyer and seller. You don't know who's going to move into your home. You don't know who is going to sell you your future home. And so we just talked a little bit. We agreed that's kind of odd, and we just, spoke a little bit about hobbies and whatnot. No business, just to remain on the up and up, because that's really what realtors are for, and they're pretty strict, and they don't like us talking about those types of things. So the last thing I said was, hey, congratulations on finding this home. He goes, yeah, I hope it works out. What? I just kind of let it go. He walked out. We went our separate ways, but it stuck with me. I thought, that's a strange thing to say after you have just committed to selling your home. You hope it works out. I do too, because I don't know what you're planning on doing if it doesn't. All right? You follow me here? So then I just said, okay, I got to just think maybe this guy's a little bit loose and chill and go with the flow, and it's nothing to worry about. But then I start seeing things like Halloween decorations going up, and then I see a trellis being built, This is after we had already agreed to buy their home. It seemed to me a strange thing that you would add something new to a home that you are selling. Wisteria extended to over this deck, and we're thinking, that's an odd thing. Okay. So that is where we're at, but we're still proceeding and expecting to be moving in yesterday, right? You already know by now that didn't happen. Well, we received notice that that other deal goes through. They chose not to accept that home based on the inspection. Probably not too much of a surprise. It was an older home, and we could have told them that it would need a lot of work. But we figured that they knew that going in. So that brings us to our repair addendums. Now, we figured we had actually sold our home, and we had some very unreasonable buyers. Thankfully, we had an extremely competent, what is it called? I want to say attorney, but that's not what it was. Just a real estate agent, a very competent agent. And that agent had our back and told us, look, this is what we can do, and we're not doing some of these ridiculous things that no one would expect you to do, like completely swap out the whole electrical system or replace an HVAC system that's only 3 years old. No. So we're thinking about all this, and we said, we know that they're having a hard time finding a home. We know that there's issues, and what we want more than all is to move into this home. So we then decided to make a few concessions ourselves, just knowing that it would just be something we could do later. So the big things for us was we decided we would take care of the insulation under the house because it's an older home and it doesn't have insulation under the crawl space or, above the crawl space. You know how that works. And we also knew that there was some standing water underneath there, and that's because of some slopes that are going towards the house and just that area of town and all that kind of stuff. It's just pretty common stuff, and we knew that we would have to kind of address that with some French drain system and potentially clearing some of these existing drains. And it's not something that we were unwilling to do, so we said, we'll take that off their plate. We know it's a big thing. They probably would get scared off by that. Let's just give them a little grace. We also decided that the electrical, which looked a little bit shaky, and this is an older home too, we could deal with it because in the house, we knew that it was old enough that a lot of stuff wasn't grounded. We'd have to take care of that. But in the garage, that was the biggest issue. There were a lot of things that were wonky, and we thought because it is an open, a non-finished garage, it'd be pretty simple to go in there and actually do the electrical ourselves. Those in my family who know this sort of thing were willing to chip in and help with this. So we had a lot that we were just planning on eating, and the stuff that we gave was minimal stuff at best, things that you could knock out in a weekend, or if you paid someone, it would take under $1,000 to do, which for a home sale, that's pretty darn good. They refused it. They decided, for whatever reason, that was too much. They put in back in a couple of things they were willing to do, and they tried to sneak into this repair addendum a return of the contingency original, which was that either party could back out at any time. We weren't having that. And working with our agent, we crafted this reply document, and we said, no, we reject the return of this contingency. The buyers want some assurance that you're going to sell this house. And then our agent had our back. We just wanted them to assess. We wanted someone to come out and assess the electrical. We didn't ask them to do electrical. She goes, no, I'm going to have someone assess it. I'm going to have someone assess the cost for some of these other things. We're just going to put those bids in there. $650 for one and $1,200 for another. And we put those in there, okay? Already, this is asking more than I was ever planning on asking. And we say, reply to these 2 documents in a couple of days. Give them a hard deadline. Oh, and we also say we are willing to renegotiate timelines, knowing that they were not going to meet yesterday's timeline, right? We're willing to renegotiate timelines with a timeline up to January 15th. Now, that seems more than reasonable to me. They've already agreed to the sale of their home. And what we are doing really is being incredibly generous and giving them a very lengthy extension to find the right home or to find suitable living in the short term until they find the home of their dreams or the right place for them. So we're thinking this is great. We're thinking this is hunky-dory, and we get back a rejection of that. But included was an agreement to all of our repairs. So that was pretty good. So the good news here is they've agreed now to all of our repairs. There was, however, one thing that came out. Well, it turns out our realtors, both of them, both sides, so frustrated with these sellers, said, you know what, we sometimes do this and we're going to do it now. We are chipping in part of our commission just to pay for the electrical. They're doing everything else. They're agreeing to it now, but the electrical they would not do. And so just to move things forward, because this is ridiculous and we feel for you, we are chipping in. Our realtor, it's something like $700 and then the rest from their realtor. And I thought, how incredibly generous is that? But it is a sign of how ridiculous this actually is. Now, fast forward, and the other piece of this is the date. We still, again, are under this this agreed upon contract that they are supposed to be out. Well, yesterday. Okay, this is November 8th as we are talking about this now. So we get this reply by them. It's nonsense. They're trying to sneak in all this contingency. They're talking about, well, we'll renegotiate the contingency and or timelines at a later date. And we said, no, the contingency is out. You wrote it out and we don't want it back. And we're not going to renegotiate it because it doesn't need to come back. Come on, come on. And we replied then last night with another counter. Hopefully this one they will agree to, extended to the end of January. So January 31st would be, sorry, let me back up. They have another house, okay? I forgot to mention this. They have another house now. And so in theory, we may be good, assuming their inspection and everything goes fine. It looks like it's a very minimal inspection report, like very minimal issues. So we're in pretty good standing at the moment, as long as everything continues this way. So we're pretty optimistic. If this all goes through, they suggested a date of early December, and that would be our closing. We could move in early December. But again, they're trying to sneak in these things with these contingencies. As we said, well, if you're in a house contract that you're trying to buy a home, you like it and all this stuff, why are we putting this contingency back in? So we said, okay, if by the end of November, something falls through outside of your control on this house, then we will agree to renegotiate timelines out through the as long as the close of escrow would not be later than the end of January 31st. So we're hoping that they will agree to this, and it gives some hard and fast timelines, and I think it's incredibly fair. But that has been one of the biggest things that has been on my mind, okay? At the risk of making this this state of the manna incredibly long, maybe I'll do this. I haven't done this before. I'll put some timestamps in the video description so you can skip to the perhaps relevant section. So we've just finished talking about the home buying and selling, and that's one aspect of my life right now. The other aspect is my job, my career. Okay. Do I tell you exactly what I do in such a public way? Perhaps. Okay. All of my life, I have worked in what has essentially been ministry. And to that end, the field I find myself in now is a homeless youth shelter. Okay. And there I manage the cases of the individual youth who come in and they experience homelessness for a wide variety of reasons. And in Oregon, there is something along the lines of 100,000 some odd reported cases of homeless youth. That is severely underreported, we know that. And in rural areas, even more so. And we're in a fairly rural area. So what I can tell you is there's a lot of need. And what I have been doing, because I've come in at a point when there hadn't been a case manager for a little while. There had been someone before they left, and then they were taking a time trying to find the right person in. So there was this gap. So ever since earlier this week, I have had my head below water, trying to catch up on past work, trying to learn how to do my job and how to keep on track and up to date on the things I need to do for the youth that are at the shelter now. And all the meanwhile, we've had youth who are struggling. They're struggling so hard, and I've encountered things that just they sadden me. There is so much hurt that some of these kids go through, and there's so much that's just yucky, for lack of a better word. And it's been very demanding, and I've been working ridiculous amounts of overtime. In fact, last week alone, I had 10 hours of overtime. I had worked a 12-hour day, or sorry, a 15 and a half hour day on Friday. Come in on Monday, I work an 8-hour day, and then I come back at 10 o'clock at night, and I spent an all-nighter, like college days. I don't recommend this. It's terrible for your health. But I spent the entire night just cranking out all the paperwork I could to get everything caught up to date. And I went until 11:30 or 12 the next day. So it was a long day. And I went back after that, and I went to Manna Sprout's school, and I hung out with her, and I went and did some fun outings with her, and I just loved her and hung out with her. And then I came home and had dinner with the family, and then I said, I'm probably just going to crash at some point, but I'm going to go take a bath. I took a bath, and I fell asleep in the bathtub. I hate to say it. And so I went right from there. As soon as I kind of went, oh, that's not good, I went straight to bed, and I slept for 13 or 14 hours. It was exhausting, but I finally caught up on everything, and we're part of why I have to do this is we're running audits. We have audits for our licenses and things like this. And we had this preliminary audit done, and we scored a 97%. We needed 75% to pass. And because of all of this hard work, we got 97, and I was so proud of that. But what I can tell you is all of this has been incredibly demanding on my time. I've worked strange hours and things like this. And thankfully, I've had most mornings to hang out with Manna Sprout. I've been able to go and be with her during her preschool, which is new this year. But it's just been difficult to find that quality time with my family or friends or you, all of you who I connect with on Twitch. Okay, so that's my job. The other aspect, of course, is just simply plugging in here at home and some of the miscellaneous things that I'll mention. So I already mentioned a little bit about this, but yes, Manna Sprout is in preschool. She's started, and it is a preschool co-op, meaning that we actually have a responsibility to show up and volunteer. And so some days I've gone in and been a co-teacher. Sometimes I've been a snack prep person. I've been on yard duty, so to speak. All of these things. I also am playing guitar and singing at church every weekend. And my wife, Ms. Manna, has just started playing piano. My best friend has been playing. My father-in-law, mother-in-law, we're trying to see about getting my dad to play bass. My father-in-law is playing drums. My mother-in-law is singing. So we've got this little family affair going. We've got a lot of people, great choir. And we've been plugging in with that. I've been asked if perhaps we would even direct the choir. I have not agreed to that because of my lack of time. But it's been wonderful. It's been so incredible to be able to praise God every week through music at church in that way, which I haven't done for a while. So it's been pretty cool. And that's purely volunteer on my part. However, we've also taken it on to assist with funerals or at this satellite parish as needed to play music where we might be needed, and we've gotten a small stipend for that, and that's been pretty cool. And it's been fun to be able to do that with my friends and some of my family who've joined me for that. My wife and primarily, and also my probable sister-in-law. So the other the other thing has been helping out with youth group or adult education at the church, and that's been something that we've really cared about and wanted to do, and our involvement with our home parish has been very meaningful and important to us. So that's been something that we've poured a lot of time and effort into. I've also spent some time with my best friend. This is something that I was so excited to be able to do, moving back here around the same time as he did. And we were sitting in the church parking lot the other day and just talking about how things have gone and reminiscing and thinking forward. And it almost seemed like two old men on a front porch sipping mint juleps, that kind of a talk, if you know what I mean. And we were lamenting the fact that things hadn't quite panned out the way we expected. You know, my time with my parents and my in-laws and my family, my time with my best friend has been somewhat limited. We've been making time, carving out time. We've been hanging out with friends and family, but you know, I expected every week to have time to do this, and it hasn't quite happened. Some weeks I haven't had the time. Now, maybe now that I'm caught up with work, maybe once the house is actually purchased and we're good there, maybe things will start to settle into some more balanced routine, some sense of normalcy that would work for me to have time, quality time with my friends and family. But at this point in time, this particular point in time, we don't have that. And it's hard, it's difficult. I don't enjoy that. So I'm at a crossroads right now. I would love to go full-time streaming. That was one of my goals when we initially talked about moving out here. But I haven't been putting the time into streaming because I don't have the time. And I would love to spend more time with my family and friends, but I haven't because I don't have the time. Again, that's why we moved out here. So while my work is incredibly meaningful and it's an extension of the professional ministry I've done all my life, I have to ask myself, is it sustainable? And I'm not sure. So we'll see together how the next few weeks and months go. But it is possible I will be looking for alternatives. And it saddens me because I know that this is important work. And unfortunately, as so many of these important works go, it's undervalued, underpaid, and things like that. But I have the skills to do it. And I think I'm doing a good job. I've been told I've been doing a great job. And it's rewarding. And you know that you're planting seeds in these kids that you know are going to bear fruit in the future. You know that these kids are experiencing love, and that's so important. And we do this very much wearing our faith on our sleeves, you know? We're not trying to convert anyone or anything like that, but just to be doing this for the right reasons and letting the kids see that and letting them know that there's a place where they can be loved and where we want to see them be the best, most authentic versions of themselves. It's great. Again, I always wanted to be in ministry, but I've always thought of streaming as a ministry as well. And I've got opportunities in the church that we're volunteering in right now. So there's a lot of things that I could be doing that I think will fill that part of me, right? So I have to ask myself, what does the future hold? And I don't know. That being said, I am going to attempt to get back into a healthier, more stable plan for streaming. And I hope that you'll join me for that. I hope you will continue to support me, both with your time, your talent, if you're helping me and assisting me in any of the ways that you do. So many of you help me sustain my Discord when I'm not able to be there. So many of you have offered to help me edit videos and things like that. So many of you have helped me to be or helped me to be moderators or have offered to be moderators. I'm going to need to start pulling from your offers more because I need the help. or whether you support me financially. And to be perfectly honest, I need the help financially. I do. We're not hurting, but to make this something sustainable, I do need that help. And so I thank you for those of you who've continued to be with me despite my time off here. I apologize. And like Dash Magnum said, I really hope that you agree with him. If it helps, Dash says, I think of my supporting you financially less as giving you money for nothing and more of investing in helping you get to the place where you can get back to your normal schedule. My friends, thank you so much for listening to me right now, for continuing to be a part of my life, for continuing to support me in all the ways that you do. God bless you. Thank you. As always, do good, be well, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.